Your question is really about how does an artist find a gallery to work with or to get into the fairs? Because the artists who are interested in being represented by a fair, well, it's really, first you have to have a gallery, and that gallery has to be accepted into the fair, so it's a double process for the artist. It takes time, and mostly the artist needs to be working with that gallery for a while and prove yourself as an artist to the gallery, and then that gallery has to be interested in doing art fairs. So that your original portion, the beginning portion of your statement about what happens in Miami the rest of the year when there's not this Art Basel week and art fair week, it's something that those of us who live here, you know, talk about a lot. And there are a lot of things going on, but what can be done to promote the artists, and not just through the galleries. I mean, that's a lot of what legal art is about. It's a lot of what the alternative spaces are about, and it's just a process. And unfortunately, it's a process that requires funding. So somebody has to fund it.
There's a number of ways. I know your concern is to be shown, but artists really do benefit from the fairs. First, the fact that you're getting a round-the-world introduction to what's out there right now. You don't have to travel. It's all coming here. You're making connections. You're going to the symposium. You're going to the museums. That in itself is a great benefit. You're meeting other artists. But also, partly as a result of Art Basel and the other fairs, as well as what the museums and galleries have done in Miami, is that it has given a spotlight to the local artists, elevating them to international status. I know some of the artists that have been here for a long time, it might have been harder in the past to get a gallery to look at you, but now being a Miami artist really does mean something, and that a dealer or a curator is more likely to look at you now because Miami has become such a hub of international art activity. So you need to look at it at this bigger picture rather than I want to show instantly. You know, that to realize that you are in a much better position today than 11 years ago.
Thank you. My name is Bayu. I'm from BKS, and I was curious about the. My name is Bayu, representing BKS, and I guess you touched on it already, but I was a bit more curious about steps to expanding what seems to be a one-week season, you know, here in Miami, in South Florida, because I noticed it's more like Art Basel represents more like a Black Friday type of scenario. But prior to that, you know, prior to our Miami relocating from January to December, it helped expand what seems to be a combination of you know, art fairs, you know, showing and, you know, giving Miami more of an international feel. I guess what I'm trying to get at, are there additional steps, you know, towards expanding what is the what seems to be very brief, you know, season in South Florida?
Yeah, the art fairs are here for 1 week, all right? But as I say, Art Basel and the fairs are 1 week, but MoCA is forever. It's up to you. It's up to you to participate. There is so much activity. I know MoCA members, you know, we have a saying, enjoy MoCA and get a life. You don't have to plan another day in your life if you're a member of MoCA. We have stuff going on every day. And the same thing is going on with the museums, all the museums. The second Saturday every month, you can go to the galleries in Wynwood. You can go, there is so much activity here. People have said to me, oh, you resting for Basel? It's like, you don't get it. There is so much going on in this town. It's not just the week that they're here. Yes, it becomes very intense that week. But I have to say, I have not had a moment's rest. I can't remember when, because there is so much happening here in the Miami art scene. In Wynwood alone, he said there's 56 galleries alone in Wynwood. And Mocha Goldman Warehouse, right? That's why he said the second Saturday of every month, you can have the intensity of Art Fair Week. I can't even say it Art Basel Week anymore. It's happening here. It's not like we're waiting to arrive. Miami has arrived as an art scene. Can we get a mic here?
I know we're almost out of time.
Oh, you know, we're having trouble hearing back here because the speakers are going that way.
I know we're almost out of time, but I was really interested in your point of view on art trends. Specifically, I'd like to be able to walk through the art fairs knowing, one, what the big guys are investing in, what their trends are for the people with deep pockets and collections and a lot of authority in the art world. But I also would like to know what you all consider emerging trends that are important to art itself. Things that are perhaps revolutionary are going to be important on down the line. And just real quick.
I'm afraid there's so much noise.
I heard. He's interested in courage.
Okay, I never use the word trend in the art with artists. I might see development, issues, emphasis. You know, things are always in flux in the art world, and as soon as you think you've identified it, the artists are already going on in another way. I mean, one of the things that I do pride ourselves at MoCA about is that we do stay in tune with what is important to artists. For instance, the show that's closing tomorrow at MoCA, Dark Continents, looked at the fact that a lot of young artists internationally, particularly women artists, are looking again at the idea of, that was prominent in the late 19th, early 20th century, and artists like Gauguin, of going back to nature, making relationships between the feminine and nature, dealing with certain stereotypes about being primitive. And that, you know, we have, I think it's 7 artists in that show, but we could have gone, picked artists from all over. The other thing that I've been interested in is that there seems to be a return to formalism, you know, with a conceptual twist to it. Part of what I'm seeing is we're having trouble hearing if we can have just one person talking at a time. Thanks. That particularly with Eastern Europe having opened up and the artists from Eastern Europe becoming involved all over the world. In Eastern Europe, modernism didn't die or get to the end game like it did in the US. Issues such as minimalism, such as constructivism are still very strong among those artists. And we're seeing that in a lot of the new work, not only from the artists from the East, but it's looking right. Artists in the US and in Europe who are doing work that is more formal than we've been accustomed to in the last few years, where we've seen more installation or assemblage or conceptual or video. So, you know, that's one of the things that I've been focusing on.
I think there's also, in terms of buying, which I think you were interested in hearing about, you'll see a lot of interest in Indian work, for example. You'll see a lot of interest in Chinese. That's been building for longer, but Polish. Anything East Asian is very interesting right now. If you go to art fairs outside of the U.S., you see a lot of that, and it'll be coming here more. And there's a new show that Scope is producing called Art Asia, which is at Midtown, which is all Asian, for all of Asia, not just you know, Japanese.